Monday marked the 4-year anniversary, grim anniversary, of the January 6th, 2021 Capitol riot. And unlike in 2021 when Trump lost, this time around when Trump won, the certification of the election went off without a hitch. Overseen, of course, by Vice President Kamala Harris, who did not pitch a fit, did not engage in any kind of scheme to steal the election. She did her job like a professional. There were no riots. There were no attempts to storm the Capitol. Nope, none of that. But 4 years ago, completely different story, obviously. And there's one person, well, there's probably a lot of people, unfortunately, but there was one guy who on this grim anniversary came out publicly to remind us, man, they almost had it that day, right? And that man is none other than Trump ally Steve Bannon. See, Steve Bannon, on this 4-year anniversary, did not look back on it and say, wow, this was horrible, I wish we hadn't done it. No. Steve Bannon, on the other hand, lamented the fact that they got so close, but couldn't pull it off. Here is what Bannon said on his War Room podcast on Monday. Of course, it was all about the House and the Senate saying for the state legislature and they couldn't certify the election, it would go back to the states. It wouldn't be able to be certified. They would not be able to certify the Biden electors. It would go into a contingent election to the House as laid out in the Constitution and the Electoral Count Act, and President Trump would have won. That was the low of the MAGA movement. Everybody abandoned us. Everybody. They all abandoned President Trump. Remember that day. Remember the disappointment. Remember the heartbreak. Remember how close we were to actually pulling it off, that President Trump had legitimately won the 2020 election and they could not legitimately certify the usurper. Point of interest there, Bannon. If Trump had actually won the 2020 election, you do realize that his upcoming administration would be unconstitutional, right? Just throwing it out there, right? You can't do that. So maybe tone it down with the he still won 2020. No, he didn't. That has been debunked by everybody. Like, it's not even a left-right issue. It's just a few crazy people that still say he won, and they're wrong because they're denying reality. But it's that one line. Remember how close we were to actually pulling it off. That line needs to be burned into your brain. Every time you see these MAGA people, I don't care if it's Trump, if it's Kash Patel, or if it's Steve Bannon or anyone else, just a random person in a MAGA hat, remember how close we were to pulling it off. There is no remorse. There is no regret. There is no, oh, that was a dark day, I wish it hadn't happened. It was, man, we got so close. Makes you worried about what's going to happen 4 years from now, right? Is Donald Trump actually going to engage in a peaceful transfer of power if Democrats win in 2028, even though he obviously cannot run again? Is he going to try to remain in office? Are people like Bannon going to push for him to try to remain in office? I'm staying optimistic, and I don't think it'll happen. But if it does, it terrifies me to no end that Donald Trump will have people pushing for it. People like Steve Bannon, egging him on, saying, remember how close we got in 2020? Maybe we can do it in 2028. That is a terrifying thought. Thanks for watching, everybody. And if you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. We got fresh content every day for you. And if you want to follow us across social media, make sure you check out all of the social links that we have posted in the description of this video.